the value. So, can people make money off such a technology? As a scientist, I had no idea whether, the importance of this. Because what you learn as a scientist, that although you spend 12 years in the research lab perfecting your technology, unless people can actually make money off it, which is the antithesis of the academic exercise, that it's never going to move forward. That the technology, the proof of the technology is almost the least important thing. There's a lot of brilliant ideas. In my department alone, there's 4 pieces of technology that all have potential commercial value. Well, what's missing is a dedicated faculty member to push it forward, and the value proposition isn't completely understood. So the literature, as well as all the universities, are littered with great ideas. It comes down to the value. So you have to have a market. And the market for the ADAPT DX is routine patient screening because optometrists and ophthalmologists can use this for the early detection of the disease and intervention. Currently, there's nutraceuticals available that have been proven in National Eye Institute trials to be effective. In addition, just the diagnostic market by independent analysis is a $300 to $400 million a year market. And with the target being 100,000 optometrists and ophthalmologists worldwide, as well as cutting-edge geriatric primary care physicians that may want to screen because they tend to see these patients on a more frequent basis than even an optometrist. So again, it's helpful to be innovative, and we are innovative. We are the first diagnostic specifically for early AMD, but to have a precedent, something that investors and lay people can understand. And many of you may have had experience with the machine on the left, which is called the Humphrey Field Analyzer, and it's a gold standard for the diagnosis of glaucoma. Again, this is our commercial model, our precedent. We're using a different technology, but it's similar. They're both psychophysical tests. You look at lights and press buttons when you see them. They take similar amounts of time. They are both reimbursable. And again, this is a huge issue in the medical community, as we've already come to understand tonight. And that it's a potential profit center for optometry practices, meaning even without the optometrist being able to prescribe a treatment, if they simply run this test on their patients, and a technician would do this, they can make money off each and every patient. In fact, macular degeneration is a much larger market than glaucoma simply because more people are at risk of age-related macular degeneration than glaucoma. We're also developing something interesting, which is a therapeutic market. The gold standard for clinical trials is how small of a letter you can read on an eye chart. And again, with a slow-moving disease in the early stage, they need surrogate markers for vision, and they're using dark adaptation, the ADAPT DX, as a surrogate marker for efficacy. And so we're hoping to tap into a theranostic or companion diagnostic, and we are actively negotiating licenses with pharmaceutical companies and have 3 ongoing studies with large pharmaceutical companies. Now, the benefit to the patients in the region is that we are attracting phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials, drug trials for a disease for which currently there is no treatment, and the patients in the local region will also benefit from this. They don't have to go to Johns Hopkins. They don't have to go to Harvard. They'll come to central Pennsylvania because that's where the technology is. So in terms of, again, medical devices being highly regulated, you learn a lot as a faculty member about regulatory in the FDA. Currently, we're selling the device under investigational device exemption. We have recently filed for our Class 1 device 510K approval. So this device will be cleared by the FDA by the middle of this year. We're going for an expanded indication by the end of the year. So now 12 years in, 12 and a half years in, we will have a box that we could legally sell across state lines without investigational device exemption. So it takes a long time to develop this technology from when we think it's done in the laboratory until you hit actual sales to customers. There is competition, and as an academic, you reel at the fact that there's competition. I want to be the only person that does this because I want the credit, and I don't want people copying my work. When you then cross into the commercial section, if no one is competing with you, then it's worthless because there's no reason to get into that market. It's already been shown not to be worthwhile. Now, fortunately, each of our competitors in this area have severe drawbacks from not being efficacious for early detection or being extremely expensive technologies. So this is what it really comes down to. It comes down to the team. And I'm only going to show you 3 people. But the thing that is really critical for faculty to understand, and one of the things I lucked into, was the people along the way that believe in the idea, especially if you're in life sciences. You're not developing a new glue. You're not developing Gatorade. So these things, when they're out licensed, they require a lot of development, and the expert needs to be there every step of the way. And the expert needs to realize what they're not expert at. And we need a class of entrepreneurs. Fortunately, when I was in Birmingham, Alabama, I ran into John Edwards, who's the CEO of the company. And he licensed the technology from the university I was at the time. And having competent management is one thing that faculty often neglect. I'm a scientist. I'm not an MBA. And fortunately, I was able to go this route and get a competent team, have real engineering support. And what's not listed here is all the little differences. For instance, the licensing associate who begged for the provisional patent because her father had macular degeneration, even though it wasn't really in the model of the tech transfer office. From all the wonderful people here at Ben Franklin, the Hershey Center for Applied Research, Life Science Greenhouse of Pennsylvania. Central Pennsylvania is a great place for entrepreneurial faculty to start a company. There's a lot of support here, a lot of mentoring. But one of the first things you can do as a faculty member is find a competent entrepreneur to work with, because you will learn a lot along the way, but it would have been a disaster if I would have tried to do this by myself. I mean, there's just no way that this would have been successful. So it really comes down to the team, advisors, and really reaching out in networking, such as events like here tonight, finding people that are leaders in the field to assist you, and finding expertise. And for instance, here, Ron Thibodeau, the Life Science Greenhouse, has been extremely helpful. And the Ben Franklin Technology Partners, with their Executive in Residence program, Jim has made a tremendous difference in us. He has 25 years sales and marketing experience in medical devices. He really set us straight on some things and has done some things that we could not do ourselves. The opportunity, why would this be a good investment? You have to think about your research. Well, I can only help people. Can people make money off it? And what's the opportunity? The investors have a lot of things they can invest in. They can invest in car washes. They can invest in all kinds of life sciences. How are they going to make money? How can you make this clear to them? So this company, we raised about $1.5 million of non-dilutive capital through the Small Business Innovative Research grant program. Again, from an academic perspective, you have to be willing to give your faculty credit for raising this kind of money. It's not the gold standard R01 or individual research award, but yet this is key, non-dilutive money to actually do translational research. NIH says they want to do translational research, but through their regular grants, they do not fund translational research. You have to go through the SBIR, the STTR. You have to do a U10 to actually do true translational research if you want to make it ready for commercialization. Like-minded foundations. For instance, in this case, the Eyesight Foundation of Alabama gave us a significant grant. And then your early stage investors are absolutely critical. So with all this money, we were able to take a research idea and come up with a commercial prototype, 4th generation, institute 7 beta sites, and institute a FDA pivotal trial that's occurring at Penn State, Johns Hopkins, and Harvard.